Well, let's bring in our panel. Wall Street Journal senior video reporter Shelby Holliday is here. GOP strategist and political analyst Ford O Connell, and Adam Goodman, a GOP communications strategist and principal of the Victory Group. Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Wow, where to start, Ford? I mean, this was quite the day for Anthony Scaramucci. I'm curious if you were surprised that he was out. And number two, I'm wondering if you think that this is actually going to right the ship, if you will, and that the White House will start to actually look a little bit more organized.
Well, I think the unwritten story here is that there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is General John Kelly, and everyone in the White House reports to him. His job is to bring discipline and unity of purpose to a White House that has had some early stumbles and a healthy dose of palace intrigue. I'm not really surprised because it's basically John Kelly's job to right the ship here. Here's the deal. It can be a game changer, but remember this about chiefs of staff. They are only as good as their presidents allow them to be, and that's what we need to be watching.
You know, it's interesting, Shelby, if you look at what's been happening over the last several weeks, in particular the tensions in North Korea, which we're going to be speaking about later on in the show, you've got a military professional in there. This is somebody that can deal with North Korea, but can also, you know, manage the staff at the White House, which it looks like he's going to do, and he's also got to work with Congress. Of those three things, where is his strength lie, do you think?
Well, a lot of people don't know that he was actually a legislative liaison between the Marines and Congress, so he does know the halls of Congress. He knows how to rub elbows with lawmakers, but I do think the foreign policy point is something that should not be overlooked, because you have North Korea, you have Russia, you have tensions still remaining in Syria, you have all kinds of these foreign policy challenges bubbling up, and he will certainly have, you know, he's a sounding board. He's not the decision maker in chief, but he will be able to provide President Trump with the information Trump needs to make those decisions. And I was also just speaking to Ari Fleischer, former press secretary, and he said today's a good day because General Kelly has asserted his authority. Everybody in the White House now knows who they answer to, and you know, he is on the same page with Trump in a lot of policy positions in terms of immigration, border security, terrorism. He hates leakers. They are on the same page with a lot of things, but General Kelly also respects the intelligence community. I think he has great respect for the institutions in Washington, and so a lot of people close to Trump see him as a very good balance to Trump's approach and someone who could implement his policies in a more effective way.
And you know, Adam, I wonder if the White House, and I'm sure they're looking to move on and recover, but even our own Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday said that this was by far the worst week of the Trump presidency. Chaos doesn't even begin to describe what we witnessed last week, and maybe a little bit today, Adam. Does the White House begin to recover from what ended up being quite a scandal with that interview with the New Yorker that Anthony gave, the vulgar laced?
Well, I absolutely think they're about to get back on their footing again. First of all, the headline should have just been "Scaramucci scareth no more," because I think that was kind of a frightening reign for about, you know, the better part of a week. To be replaced by someone I know General Kelly. He is his sense of calm, command and control will, I think, redirect a lot of things there. But the major problem that the White House has had from the very beginning has been the messaging, has been getting messaging right, compellingly, concisely clear to the American public about making sure that, you know, we deliver on being stronger abroad, safer at home, and having an economy that lifts all ships. That's where I think General Kelly is going to bring a sense of calm and clarity to the message, which has long since been lost, I think, since the 2016 campaign.
Adam, since you do know General Kelly, let me ask you, there have been reports that the president had actually approached him back in May about the chief of staff position, but he was hesitant to accept the job. There are also reports, speculation anyway, that he insisted that Scaramucci be gone if he was going to take the chief of staff position from Reince Priebus. Is there any truth to any of that?
I don't have any first-hand knowledge of that, but I can tell you this. If you're looking for someone as an antidote to a chaotic week and maybe a somewhat jumbled series of messaging blunders over the last couple of months, General Kelly's your guy. He's not only clear-headed, but he understands how to marshal the resources of talent and make it work for the principal.
Cheryl, to Adam's point, I think that the message that General Kelly is sending to Washington is to institutional Washington, Congress, the military. I'm going to help put the president in line and help deliver the president's message. The rest of you have to pay attention. because without us, we're going to get nothing done. And essentially, it is all about John Kelly being an effective gatekeeper going forward. As for Anthony Scaramucci, let's be honest, I think that the mooch pretty much cooked his own goose on this one. And essentially, John Kelly is now in charge. And I think that that's really the unwritten story of the week.
Well, you know, somebody that's been on a lot of trading floors here in New York City, I mean, I think his inexperience might have certainly hurt him. And whether it was on the record or not, we've never really quite figured out. We're hopefully going to hear from him about that very soon, whether he thought that conversation with the reporter with the New Yorker was on the record. But Shelby, aside from that scandal, the next question here obviously has to be, as we move forward, the structure of the White House. That's key, because that seems to have been a problem. A lot of cooks in the kitchen, a lot of warring factions, whether it was Steve Bannon or Reince Priebus or Jared and Ivanka, who we're not really sure where they sit. Obviously, they cater to the president, but who are they getting along with and not? Does Kelly fix that and streamline that management process?
Yeah, management is the word, because as you talk to people who have been in the White House, they say competing views are actually a good thing. They just have to happen in the right setting. You cannot have competing views, arguments, clashes, and then have leakers leak everything out to the press. That undermines the whole process. So he has to streamline the process. He has to figure out who he can get in the room when it's critical, when the president needs to make a decision. And yes, he's a gatekeeper, but he also needs to figure out who in the White House should have access, should be able to walk into the president's door without asking permission.
And will Kelly
family
have...
is what makes this White House so tricky.
It is very different.
You can tell Scaramucci, you did something wrong and you're gone. Ari Fleischer said you cannot tell the president's daughter. You could tell her she did something wrong. You can't tell her she's gone.
Ivanka would never. Never. She's got her pride.
It's a tough task.
It is a very interesting White House. The intrigue continues, and it did not disappoint today, folks. Guys, thank you very much. We appreciate it.